My apologies. Um, I, since I put up on the screen just now the sound attenuation section.
Yep. I see it, for example, to mitigate the sounds, like 10 p.m. That seems a little late, for me at least. And the sound will travel at that time to the neighborhoods behind where those amplifiers are going to be pointing towards. And if there's anything in there in writing to mitigate that sound trap to stop it from traveling so far, um, I know you can probably we can hear like the cars on Route 6, for example, right? And they don't have no amplified sound; they're just traveling. Um, Now, if we're having wedding venues and all that, it's great that we're doing stuff for the town, but at the same time, we'll have to, um, how should I say, respect the rights of the other people, the other homeowners on the backside, right? So I just wanted to point that out there, and um, and also emphasize the point that the 8 acres limitation there that was referenced. Um, with by that criteria, there would be a lot of individuals or corporations or farms, etc., that can actually apply for this. And what kind of can of worms are we opening, basically? That's all.
Understand. Okay, thank you, Roberto.
Hmm.
Yeah, let me come up here. Like, here, it's Hutchinson, I'm not going to read through all of this, it's just me keeping my thoughts. I have a bunch of observations, in no particular order, just things that I want to enter onto the record. So that it can be included in your deliberations and thoughts on this. Somebody mentioned the gazebo events that happen over here, the town rec commission. And the fact that the town doesn't have any noise ordinances, we have 2 or 3 of these every year. There's amplified music coming from them. This is right in the middle of a residential district. I haven't seen anything on paper regulating, describing, discussing these events. And I think that's problematic because right now what's happening here in the context of what happens right over there really looks like selective enforcement. So I think this needs to be taken into consideration. Okay, whatever comes up here has to apply to what happens over there also. Just because it's the town doing it versus a person, we're still talking about amplified sound, traveling, residences, potential disruptions. So that's point number one. The second thing is, I've been living here 37 years. One of the reasons I moved to Andover was because it's clean and safe and quiet. But I've come to understand that quiet does not mean silent. And at the same time, detectable noise does not equal automatic nuisance. Okay, I can go outside at 2 in the morning and hear the trucks coming down Route 87 with their Jake brakes. In the springtime, the town for hours on end is cleaning the culverts with these enormous vacuums and that sound travels for miles. My neighbors mow their lawns. There's a gun range here in town. Okay, all of these things are sounds that travel. And as I've thought about this and considered it, I've come to the conclusion that for everything that we consider a minor annoyance to us, somewhere progress is being made. Something is being accomplished. That awful sound from the culverts being cleaned means that the town isn't going to flood somewhere. That truck coming down Route 87, for all we know, could be carrying life-saving medicine for one of the hospitals. So we can't live in silence. We can't think that we're going to live in silence. And in the case, it may sound trivial, okay, but we're talking about a business that's expanding, that pays taxes, that provides a service that people enjoy. So again, there's this balance that has to be considered between what's happening, and some people find it positive, some people find it negative. I just want this to be out there for us to think about this. And just as an aside, when the DEP regulations were mentioned, I went quickly, looked it up, and I saw, of course, there are exclusions for lawn equipment during regular hours, because otherwise we couldn't get anything done in this town. And just as an interesting thing, I saw that there is an exemption for experimental equipment, if you're trying to determine the amount of sound that the equipment makes experimentally. So I think in my position as an expert, as an electrical engineer, I'm going to start designing experimental amplifiers for you to use at every venue. Anyway, another thing, I've done a lot of service to this town over the last 10 years, most recently with the Charter Revision Commission. And the thing that seemed to be the most significant thing that we did wasn't the things that we decided upon, it was the things that we didn't decide on. We were tasked with 15 or 20 different things, and the first thing that we did was whittle everything down and decide what was important. We separated the wants from the needs, and that seemed to be the most important thing out of that entire exercise for me. At least it's the thing that people have come to me and said, yeah, that's the most valuable thing that you do. And that's something that I think when we look at all of the minutiae that go into this, to try to separate within the context of everything that I've talked about here, the wants from the needs. We have here a business that's trying to expand and trying to provide a service that people have said that they want. And as I said in my last set of statements to this commission, I see the commissions within town as trying to enhance the town and trying to facilitate the things that the town wants to do rather than to serve as obstacles. Granted, you know, we're trying to protect property values and all the things that go along with it, that is the charge of planning and zoning. I have to say when Ryan, you know, he's my friend, he's my neighbor, when he first spoke to me about this last year, about the few complaints and this proposal, my advice to him wasn't constructive. I basically said for him to ignore the commission, only I didn't say it quite that politely. And, you know, because my feeling was that, and maybe this is the libertarian in me, that, you know, we live in a country where everything is allowed until it is prohibited. And that is one of kind of the bedrock foundations of the common laws on which this country is founded. A lot of other countries, it's exactly the opposite. In the military, it's exactly the opposite, where things aren't allowed until they're allowed. Here, we don't work that way. And the advice that I gave to him was that the town and this commission only has the jurisdiction over you that it already has, or what you decide to surrender to them. And that's what these new regulations are. They're self-imposed limits over what is now currently an unregulated set of circumstances. Seeing the amount of effort that's gone into this, looking at the number of people who are affected and complain versus the number who are speaking positive or have spoken positively about this. You can't, obviously you can't completely disregard, they have credibility. But you have to ask yourself, in considering all of this, what are in the best interests of the town? What things serve the town the best? And after having looked at this in detail and looking at the amount of effort that's been devoted to this, I think about the kind of triage that we did in the Charter Revision Commission, and I'm slowly circling around to the advice that I initially gave him. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Any other comment? Yep.
Jeff Ballard, 174 Lake Road. I don't know Ryan Pitch at all. I've been to the last concert they had, and I went to the Andover Collaboration Crafts Fair, where I believe they had music also. I think it's a great idea that people are getting out of their houses, that they're gonna socialize with their neighbors, they're gonna meet people, they're gonna get to know people, they're gonna get to talk to their neighbors, socialize. Hartford Jazz Society, the oldest jazz society in America, still operating, is running Monday Night Jazz in Bushnell Park. Granted, it's in the city. They get over at 11 o'clock and then disperse. Hartford Jazz Society is also promoting, this weekend, Hartford Jazz. The festival, which also gets over at 11. I recently attended the first Thursday of the month down between Marlboro and East Hampton. On the right-hand side, there's a farm, and I don't know the name of the farm. What is it?
Farm Carter Hill.
Okay, Farm Carter Hill, and that was a great venue, and it, you know, had amplified music. And I believe they got over at 10:30 and then dispersed. I've lived in town for 45 years now. I live on Lake Road. I can hear the traffic on Route 6 at night. That's normal. I don't find that distractive or annoying or whatever. It's just life. When I moved into town, when the Red Barn was going on and the right of way, they used to have bingo, they used to have bands, they used to have movies. I believe that got over at 10 o'clock. My understanding, being in the lake zone, where sound travels across the water horrendously, it's almost amplified, where it doesn't have the barriers of forests and trees and hills or whatever. The curfew, to my understanding, in the Lake District, it was 10 o'clock. Now, I think that is not unreasonable. I don't think that 11 o'clock is unreasonable, depending on whether it's a Friday or Saturday night, or whether it's during the week, and I think that ought to be taken into account. What day and what the venue is. I'm all in favor of it. I think that, you know, you should be looking at what is the decibel level of Route 6 as being a background, and if it's a 75 decibels, 60 certainly to me is not outrageous or a problem. I've been working on for years now for the hunters up at Forest Edge Farm on Pear Swamp. When I'm up there on Sundays and Saturdays during the day, I can hear the gunfire. I can hear the traffic on Route 6. I have no problem with more business, more people coming into town to spend their money. We're a small community with not a big tax base, other than the few businesses. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's a very positive direction for the town to be moving in. I think the economic development of the town is in line with this. And that's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Anybody else? Yeah,
Roberta Doherty, Merritt Valley Road. First of all, I want to commend Brian for taking so much time and energy into this document. For somebody that's not on a board or commission or involved in municipal work, you have done a really good job. I also want to just note that the definition of a farm that you have in your regulations is not what the PA 490 right defines as a farm. There's no acreage requirement for PA 490. It just, there's other things. So you have 3 acres, but that's not the same for PA 490. You can have an acre, a quarter of an acre, 100 acres. So I think you should need to determine what you're considering a farm and not a farm by those 2 things. That's all I have to say.
okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, you said you come back with 5 months of notes, just.
And in fact, I would like you to start from the beginning on yours so we can have it all recorded now. So if you get you ready for that, I'm gonna read one that I got sent to me into the record. But I would like to get your comments in the public record, and we weren't recording, and I apologize for that. I just do a terrible job. I would be fired. So there you go. But this is a letter from Marcus and Paula King on Oaks Farms Road. Dear members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, we are ready to express our support for the Pitch Fanning Farm to continue to hold events for the community at their location. These performances have become a feature of our community, bringing people together in a way to entertain and connect with others in our community. Live music and other types of shows at the farm create a space where we can all gather, relax, and enjoy shared experiences. These events strengthen community ties by giving people a reason to come together in person and build relationships that extend beyond the shows themselves. By providing a stage for local musicians, comedians, and performers, Fitch Family Farm helps local talent with an opportunity to perform. Supporting local talent keeps our creative community alive and gives artists a chance to reach new audiences, practice their skills, and contribute to the culture of our area. Events at the farm are inclusive and accessible, providing affordable entertainment options for families, young adults, and seniors alike. Rather than traveling long distances or paying high ticket pricing for entertainment, residents can enjoy high quality performances right in their own community. Hosting events at the farm helps maintain the vitality and preserves it as a treasured space for the public to enjoy. This use of the land aligns with community values of keeping our rural heritage intact while allowing people to gather and celebrate the arts in a peaceful, natural setting. I respectfully urge the committee to continue to support music and comedy events at the Fitch Family Farm. These gatherings enhance the quality of life, strengthen our local culture and economy, and make our community a more connected and enjoyable place to live. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration and for your commitment to keeping our community thriving. Sincerely, Marcus and Paula King.
Very well put.
Okay, so now we're coming back to you, Catherine. I apologize, but
Yeah, could I first go through with the new?
Yeah.
Because as I'm focusing on page 2 under standards, it provides property housing and tourism. Activities must be classified as farmland with a town of Andover under Public Act 490, and I'll be addressing that I'm readdressing it. That's that. And my question is that the term agritourism activities include both the agricultural accessory uses and the non-agricultural accessory uses. And is that consistent with 1B on page 1? This is now I'll refer to the new one, which provides the minimum parcel size for site plan approval of non-agricultural related uses or events on a farm shall be 8 acres parcel in a business and industrial zones shall be sufficient space for vendors, the public, and parking. Multiple contiguous parcels under the same ownership shall consider one parcel. I think that language needs some clarification.
I agree with you. And again, I want to get the, anybody that's holding an event, we need to have sufficient space for vendors, public and parking. So it's not just parcels in the business or industrial zone. So
And
we will clarify that.
but I think one of my other comments was, it's not clear whether or not you're creating a whole new, use. We're not creating, you're providing this use, even though this business zone or industrial zone that hasn't been clarified that the designation be in 494. Just the language, I think this.
Yeah, so we'll have to decide whether or not it needs to be a 490.
Yeah. The industrial and, yeah,
Yeah.
yes. All right, getting back to 490, which is where I started this whole. If you could perhaps put up the 10 pages, and as I said earlier, the 10 pages came from the assessor's office. They report annually to the forestry department with both the farmland and the forest land. What I highlighted on the exhibits up there is the farmland only. The other category, the other listings in there don't include farmland, so they would do the forest land, so that's why it's highlighted. And of the 37 farmland that is farmland. If you go to the end of the report, please. On the last page. If you can read it, you can see at the bottom. It has a summary and it says, excuse me. Grand total 490 acres, 812.42. Grand total count 37, and that's where I got 37 from. The highlighted ones, which are the farms, over. The highlighted ones are simply the farms. Of the 37, 20 of them have 10 or more. Going back, when I covered everything under what I want to say about 490.
Okay,
That the farm at 37 acres. I'm sorry, 37 parcels, 20 of which have 10 or more acres in them. The other one thing, I'm not sure that it was on the recording or not, was that you'll notice that some of the parcels, the total acreage, which is on the right-hand side, is more than the number of farmland acres. And that is attributable, one, in some instances, to part of the land is also forest land. And part of it is just something other. It doesn't tell you what it is, but not every piece of property that you would think of looking at, well, Hutchinson owns that, so that's the farm. Might have to all be in the farmland.
now does
Well,
that
all
include,
the main part of the farm.
does that include your home as well? Can your home be 490 right now?
No, that doesn't show, but that's on it there.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
under some, that's under supplemental.
Okay,
But the piece I bought, the called Merritt property, is all of the forest. So that I would qualify for my whole 90 some odd acres. Under your proposed regulation. I wouldn't qualify for the rest of the, what I call the farm, which is the acreage I bought from the Merritt property, the 7 acres that joins it, because that's on the forest, so. The piece down to 6. Would possibly qualify as being the industrial zone, but it wouldn't be. The piece on Route 6, east of the extra mark. The new black looking.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments? So. That, I think that's, we've all got to talk about.
In my public,
Oh,
Sure.
I apologize for, this coming out yesterday, I think I sent it, I don't remember. Again. I don't know why I even have, not, on what Bob said, I don't even know why this is me writing this, I'm not a. Law writer, this should have been a lawyer writing this up, I did, help, and, I was given help, propose this. But again, this sounds like, to me, I did what I could to put this together as best as that we could. Again, I don't know how and why it falls on my shoulders to do this. Like Bob said, these are regulations for the town to propose. So kind of what I wrote was hoping that not that it was a final draft, I was hoping that you guys would come and put your input in. We were just giving basics, but again, this is way above my pay grade. But I did put a lot of time in, this is my third meeting. And, and I mentioned this to Wayne that, this is my third meeting, I've been here. And there's people on the board that haven't even been here. And these are the people that are deciding how I feed my family. And they don't have the audacity to come to a meeting that they're on the board. So I think you have to look at the effort that I'm putting in as well. That my, family has put in to try to, accommodate this. But you have to understand that you guys are making a decision on what I can do to feed my family. And, I just think, and again, this is way above something, I wasn't going to. We're not making enough money at the farm for me to hire a lawyer to write this up for me. I've had to have lawyers involved with many other things in this town that I'm paying for. But I appreciate the help. John helped, and Wayne has been amazing with this too. But I didn't think I would be the end all, right all. I would kind of roll off the tongue, that I would be doing this. So I was hoping to get, that the final draft would be for you guys to come up with and have a discussion on and agree. But as you can see, there are a lot of people that have been, like this last event, there was, 60 people there. Ideally, for me to make any kind of profit on these would be 75 to 100. Last year I lost on every single one of them. But in business, we know the first couple of years you lose money until things start getting built. And it'd be the same thing with the farmer's market. I tried putting the farmer's market together. Just couldn't get the draw yet. I'm not giving up on it because I think it's something Andover really needs. So hopefully next year, but again, that's a $50 to $100 profit on a weekend, so these aren't big money makers. It's just really to bring more things to the town. So I'm willing to give you as much as I can to help facilitate this, but I think, like Bob said, the more you guys can help us put these together and do these, the better off we're gonna be. So I apologize for getting them late. I really did not think I was the end all on these, regulations.
Only the end all, because you want it now.
Well, trust me, I know, we're in a rush, we're in a rush.
So,
And I appreciate you letting it go without going, too haywire.
so, yeah. And, I'm looking for a little help on the way ahead at this point. One side of me says we should continue the public hearing to the next time. And the town does take the lead from here on to take what we've heard. But I don't know how to do that without deliberation on it, to hear what the commission wants. And we can't deliberate till we close the public hearing. So I'm kind of in a loop. I could write it with John, and we talk about it, and then we deliberate on that, and we'd be able to get feedback from you on what you don't like. Because while you're on this side, I'm gonna be on this side just a little bit.
Oh, I know.
And the right answer is gonna be in the middle there, so.
That's what we're hoping.
And that's what we're gonna get to.
Yeah.
But, John, you got a hint there?
Yeah, so based on what we've heard this evening from both the commission and the public, I think a few additional changes might be warranted. My sense is I think we're almost there. But if the commission is interested and willing to, share other concerns or other things they might want to see modified, that could provide Ryan, as well as Wayne and I, to sort of help translate some of this stuff, enough information to kind of come up with a hoped for final version that could be shared with the town attorney before the next meeting. But I think there are a few tweaks to be made, I think. I can go through some of them that I've sort of taken notes on right now, but I think we're fairly close that you can have a version that would be largely ready for closing of a hearing and deliberations. And deliberations would be another time to make a few tweaks. You could make some edits on the fly. But if there are things that commissioners, including yourself, Jed, are still leaving on the table as concerns that have been unexpressed, I would strongly encourage you to express them here in full view of the public, so that we can come up with something approaching a final version for next month.
Okay, and, yeah, I thought about cutting this regulation down to two lines. One was gonna be the sound level at the property line, and the second was gonna be the, end time. And we could leave the end time as it's listed now and deliberate that when we get these final other tweaks taken care of. And we can put, some other means other than the state limits that I don't understand. I think the words that we had in there before, after I went back and understood that, yes, if the music is below background, I can still hear it. That's what sonarmen do out at sea. They listen to real quiet noises and then they can pull that out. But you're gonna be able to hear the music, but it's still below background.
What about for the realistic person, common sense? Shouldn't it be similar to what is happening already, like on Route 6? You know what I mean? Like, how could you have my music be forced to be lower than what is naturally happening 30 feet away or 100 feet away?
So here's one of the things that I did take away from reading through those state statutes. And they have all these time-weighted noise levels. And so if the truck comes barreling through for a minute, every 10 minutes, you average that out and it comes down to a low level. Whereas if a band's playing, it's at the higher level for a longer period of time, and that gets out there. And that's almost impossible for me anyhow, to figure out how to do it. That's why there's gotta be something that we can look at and make sense. And it's clear, the public supports what you do.
I agree.
And so, I would be happy to have this, do one more round, and I think, there are a couple of inconsistencies, we know a couple of things to, do. I think Wayne, John, and I could probably do that, and until we get to talking about the end time,
You're stuck on
You don't-
end time.
I am, we made a big deal about the soccer team and the light shining in the one neighbor's property,
The horse company.
Yep, and so
That cost us a lot of money though.
it did. And, I felt really bad about that because the guy wouldn't work with us on coming up with an acceptable plan. I appreciate the fact that you're working with us to try and come up with an acceptable plan when we wanna do it, just like I'd like to have had the soccer club still playing here. But we gotta protect the adjacent property owners, rights to not be there. And so that's gonna be a pick a time, different days of the week and make it all work. And we can do that during deliberation after next quarter. So I guess what I'm thinking with your help there, John, is because the updated draft came out sort of late, didn't give a lot of people a chance to look at it. I would like to keep the public hearing open until the next meeting. Hopefully we can get a copy that we can send to Attorney Branch about within 2 weeks, so that he can have a chance to look at it, provide comments back. We get together, it doesn't have to be much. And then we wrap it up. Now, I don't think, because it's a regulation change, and maybe Wayne or John got some insight here, I don't think the 65 days to close the public hearing is pertinent. If somebody had an application for, building something or something like that, we've got to do that clock, but when you get into regulations, well, actually, special permits, I don't think it's there either. But to make it clean, I would like to have your permission to extend the public hearing by another 30 days. You have the opportunity to do 65 days worth of extensions as we go through the process. Okay. So we'll hold the public hearing open until the next meeting. We'll try to get out the third revision. And, we'll get you to meeting number 4. And I appreciate you coming, Ryan.
I live right down the road. Andover's not big.
Okay, so,
Question,
go, yeah,
would that entail giving them to Mark Grants?
yeah,
So
I-
we have to-
so my goal is 2 weeks from now, we can give a copy to Mark Grants, get his comments back, before the next, go around. But I can't.
I just took one other detail that I left out, getting back to my original report, is that I had commented on the number of roads in town that the, this impacts. It's not just Route 6, it's,
Yeah.
I think 7 or 8. 13 or 14 altogether, 7 or 8 with the 5th.
There's a lot.
I mean, I was actually 10.
Okay, so at 8, oh, yes, Patrick,
Is there public speak still open?
it can be.
Did you have one more thing to say
I
or?
just wanted to add one thing, you mentioned the whole time waiting thing with traffic. Beyond that, there is an entire field known as psychoacoustics. And what's at play here is the fact that music is a recognizable set of stimuli to our brains, okay? Whereas the sound of a car is more random. And you could have, you talked about 1 car in 10 minutes an average, you could have actually a much higher level sound from a car. And it would be, for most people, less problematic than music because it is more randomized. It's not something that. Right, well, maybe not white noise, they make noise, round noise, or, those are all different spectral weighting for random noise. But the fact is that it tickles specific psychological parts of our mind, is what makes it what it is. And it's what also makes looking at this from the standpoint of just measuring sound value levels a lot more challenging. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so 8:17, we're gonna continue this public hearing to the next meeting. Thank you very much for coming tonight. We'll see you next month.
Thank you. That's good.
We're good. Good for now.
Can we excuse for a minute? Just,
Okay.
can I
Yeah.
run back? I'll be right back.
Must say. Oh, legit. Mr. Heckler is the.
I figured we gave him enough time, but, that's.
John should be sitting, I think we'll get that.
Or. We're gonna make my time.
So we're sort of.
Exactly.
Then there's like. That's what it's all. Largely. How we think is
Okay, yeah.
I didn't get a chance to pull that online, so, but I, it should be one for everybody. My letter of,
So I'll scan this in to put it in this. Website. Or-
Okay, it is 8:20, and I will call the public hearing to order where we're discussing the application of Michael Heckler, 71 Zola Road, Andover, Connecticut, for special permit with site improvements to operate a home-based landscape business and construct two-bay garage attached to the existing dwelling. And existing two-bay garage is proposed to be converted to a workshop space. The application and request is made for section 4.12A2, Roman 4, and section 23 of the Andover zoning regulations. So at this point, I'll turn it over to you, Mike, and you can, tell us, what we got.
Okay, so there was a lot that went on last meeting, not sure really what carried on over, but, essentially, my name is Michael Eckler, I work for the town of Vernon as a mechanic full-time for the DPW there. And I have a secondary business that I run as well for, doing landscape and clearing, driveways, everything that's on my cart. And essentially I'm looking for storage.
Can you speak up just a little bit so we can make
Yeah.
sure that we're getting it on the recording, then, thank you.
Essentially, I'm looking for storage of my equipment, rather than having it be outside where it could be unsightly, or we know excavation equipment and whatnot, hydraulics, anything like that, you don't want it leaking, period. But they always do. Like, that's just, you can't keep something perfect, just doesn't happen. So I would like to propose, why I have proposed a expansion of essentially making my two-bay garage that's detached right now a now workshop with just all my. Can you pull up the picture of what I'm proposing for the existing?
John, you wanna give me control? Maybe it's better if I do it. Oh, you got it, okay.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I'm sharing the right thing.
Yeah, that's a floor plan, but
Yep.
there's also a, what does it say, workshop? Should be one that says workshop.
That's it. Okay, let's see. Can you see my website screen right now?
Yep, keep going down.
So building
Uh,
location plan?
No, is it existing shop plans? Yeah, that. So that is the scale of or 1/4 scale, of my current 4 garage. I have a lot of stuff that helps me do my job as not only a mechanic, but, cause I have to have extra tools and whatnot that I don't need at work, I have to bring home. And what I've accrued over many years of being a mechanic, 15 years, like engine lifts and all this junk that you don't want outside. So essentially, all this stuff that I have that is right now in various storage locations, or outside, needs to go inside. Essentially. That fits pretty much my entire garage. There's not gonna be no way a car could ever fit in there. So that kind of makes it a workshop. In theory, you can't fit a garage or a car in a workshop. And I would be, if the council requires it, removing the doors, putting a man door. So that kind of even more gets rid of that problem. Now, the proposed garage is because I own a 6-wheel dump truck, a CDL dump truck, and a 16-foot landscaping trailer that I use for my mini excavator, 12,000 pound excavator. I have a wood chipper too, fairly large wood chipper. Things that I would like to be able to keep in the garage, away from the elements, away from theft. You know, not saying we get it, but when you have $100,000 out sitting outside that someone could just go up to and drive away with, it's not the greatest idea. And being the fact that we live on a dead end road, that people do, you know, come up and turn around in my driveway, because I have the easement for school bus. People do see things. that don't usually live there. And, you know, it's a little intimidating to me when random strangers that I'm not used to turn around in the easement and go on their way. I don't know where they came from, what they're gonna do.
I was probably one.
Maybe, maybe so. There's a lot of people that come up and, you know, I don't know. I do have a lot of junk, and that's probably what you've seen in my driveway. I do need to tidy up, and that will further help me tidy up. I know there's probably questions about why there's so many vehicles on. I do have a lot of projects.
Well, I did have that question, yeah.
Yeah, I figured anyone would that's driven up the road. I have a lot of projects. I love to tinker. It's one of my big hobbies that a single guy, I'm not married, I just have a girlfriend. A single guy loves to do is just tinker, keeps his mind off of work. So I don't have any kids, so that's my vice, I guess you could say, tinkering and that stuff. So again, essentially it would just be for all my equipment and then just any of the extra junk, not cars. You know, anything like that, I will be cleaning up and getting rid of, or, you know, occasionally I have friends that come over, ask for help. It has to stay for a couple days, whatever, I help them. They come over that. They're not mechanics like trade, they like tinkering too, but they're just not mechanics, so we have to help, of course, help people. This is doing it. So that's probably why you see random cars. Because there's random people, there's no food.
So that's not part of a separate business
No.
to, go out and repair cars,
No.
just friends hanging out.
That's just friends hanging out or, yeah, just helping out neighbors.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, obviously, this document we just recently got,
Yeah.
and,
Yep.
so, you know, the, when it talks about home occupations, you know, it says the application shall not be considered complete unless the following additional items are stated. In addition to those required by section 23.
Yeah.
And looks like item one, is the letter that we just got now.
Yeah.
The applicant shall supply the commission with architectural plans for any proposed structure. Any waivers requested by the applicant shall be submitted in writing. And the application checklist shall be filled out by the applicant, reviewed by the zoning agent with the applicant. And, so where do we stand on that stuff, Wayne?
We do not have an application checklist at this point.
Yeah,
Okay,
but I've reviewed the checklist and there's a lot of things that are NA.
that's absolutely,
So
absolutely, but there's a few that aren't,
Yeah,
and that's our tool.
I wasn't sure if I should bring that or not, because there's so many that are. NA.
Nope, with it, so here's what we need is for you to get with
Okay.
Wayne and
Okay,
come up with that, because like one of the things that I think Wayne probably asked you for is a site plan.
Mhm.
And
That is in here.
the site plan's in there now?
Yeah, it's labeled building location plan.
essentially everything on that checklist is done. I think
Okay,
everything on that checklist is
so
done. Just have a
I-
checklist.
I thought I looked online this morning to make sure there was nothing new that came in over the weekend. And I didn't see that, but I could be in here.
I think that was uploaded. Well, today's Tuesday, so. I don't.
Monday?
What was Monday?
Yeah, Monday.
Okay, so maybe it was
It's a little last
yesterday
minute.
that I was yeah, because today I spent working on the agritourism
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Can we look at the site plan? Because there were a couple of things that I wanted to discuss, why it was important to me that we got that
It's,
in. Okay, well, I'll go, I can take a look at that. I have not seen that, until now. I was concerned about the, nicely done on the nutrient allocation worksheet. What I didn't know, and maybe is on here, is, so you talk about you're collecting the runoff from the roof and you're gonna put that in the dry well.
Yeah.
And so how did we size the dry well? How many gallons is it gonna hold, to account for that 1 inch runoff on 3,000 square feet of roof space and that sort of thing?
Well, that was, for some reason, the algorithm in that program automatically did it for me. So I'm not sure, I have to do my research on that.
It did calculate the amount of reduction you get, but it doesn't tell you how big the dry well has to be.
Oh, I don't know, it just shows the range for me.
1 inch means, that means 1 inch, so we have a 1 inch rain event.
Yeah.
That's 1 inch of rain coming off 3,000 square feet of roof.
Yeah.
So you figure that out into cubic feet of water.
Okay.
And the dry well has to hold that much cubic feet of water so that it accommodates a 1 inch rain event. That's what that means.
Okay.
And not intuitively obvious that was there, but I was interested in where the dry well was gonna go, where the detention pond was gonna go, because, we need to keep it separated from your well and your septic.
Of course, yeah,
And,
leach field, yeah.
And so that might be all on here with the exception of the size of the dry well and the size of the detention pond.
Yeah, which is not on there.
Yeah, and that,
I have a catch basin on there, but that's only for the driveway. That's
Okay,
for the
yeah.
985
Right.
feet.
so,
And that's primarily for any of the water runoff from the road, because my road dumps right into my driveway. So any, half an inch, it'll go right into my garage.
Yep.
It's bad, so, other than that, I mean, I figured that would be done more so when we're in the building layout process, when we're not in the. I get it in its zoning entirety, but
Yep.
I figured once I have the finalization on what I can do for plants and whatnot, then I would go for, what we need to do for the foundation setup and whatnot for dry wells. But as of right now, it's been so unclear if I'm even going to be able to move forward. with
I
this.
got you.
And the resources available, I don't wanna waste,
Yep,
so.
I'm with you there, and, I am trying to sort my way through the issues that have already come to bear, and I think I can get through most of them. The issue that I am struggling with the most is the discussion that Mark Branch provided about the accessory use being, I forget the word, but it's subordinate to your primary dwelling.
Which is why we filed for a special permit to, yeah, we worded it. The special permit should be able to work with the state statutes and not against them like I was before.
Yeah. Well, and so, yes, I understand, because it says that any use requiring non-resident employees or the construction of additional structure, that gets you into the special permit category. That does not, in my mind, mean that it still doesn't have to be subordinate to the primary purpose, which is the house.
Correct.
So that's the part that I'm struggling with right this minute. If your house was 1,600 square feet, that ballpark, and your garage was 1,500 square feet, for 1,599 square feet, it would be subordinate to the primary purpose, but it's not, it's twice as big.
Yeah,
And so that's what I am struggling with just a little bit.
yeah,
The other issue that I came to the conclusion on today, I was wrestling with. We only allow 2-car garages.
yes,
Well, in the Lake District.
Yeah, in the Lake District.
Okay, and so it says 2-car garage as a right.
Yeah, which only one car will be in there, truck. A piece of equipment does not constitute as a motor vehicle.
Right, but when it talks about being capable of holding 2 motor vehicles,
I don't think it says that. It says-
Okay. but that's,
Yeah,
anyhow, my conclusion on that, so you're, as of right. Garage for 2 motor vehicles. We don't say anything in our regulations about what we can do with special permits.
Hmm.
In that case, and I think something that we probably need for the Lake District is with the special permit, we can have something big.
yeah, because we're several
So,
houses.
so I know how to get, I know how to get past that. So the only thing that I'm continuing to struggle with a little bit, at least myself, is the accessory use being subordinate to the primary use, which is the house.
Yeah, and I forget, Wayne and I had a conversation about it more recently, and I can't put the words together about it, but. Essentially. Because it is just a storage, it's not. And it's not like a full blown. It's part of the principal structure. And since the special permit would allow me to have a home occupational. Right, so to speak, it almost allows for like a dual zone. And. I could be using the words wrong. Could be.
But that's what I have Attorney Mark Reyes. for.
Yeah,
He can help me out on that, but the, and I know there was some discussion about,
Or dual.
there's gonna be there's gonna be a small section of the house that's used for
Office.
office. Does that mean that this big storage area is not part of the home-based business?
No. So all home-based business is office. The rest is storage as part of the principal structure.
Yeah, well. I'm learning from you as we talk here. Again, I got, Attorney Branch to make sure that we're doing, what's right there. I would have assumed that. I assumed different than that. Could be wrong.
Yeah. And that's,
It's been known to happen.
and that's why, there's more questions that, like what exactly what services do I provide? Well. What services do you provide on site? And these questions yield those answers.
Yeah.
Later on, as we go through these. Essentially, no services from my business are on site at all, except my own record keeping. So therefore, it's not a business on my property. It's just a name.
I understand, just, and again. I'm gonna ponder this for a while, but it doesn't make sense to me that you can have a huge warehouse to store equipment, and we don't consider that part of the home-based business. Especially when it's bigger than the house, so.
Yeah.
So I will continue to ponder that, I'll get, some. Assistance,
And I guess I wish I had, some of the other. Fellow business owners in the Lake region that, have 3-car or massive farms, they're labeled
Yeah.
as. Come to the meeting, but feature, feature meal.
Yep.
And then you have, one of the other landscaping companies that's right off this road here. He has a.
Sears and Son,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah,
and,
so.
and, yeah, I honestly don't know what Sears and Sons has back there. He's way back in the woods where I can't see,
Hey.
you're right close to the road.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I don't think a DPW guy is coming up my road in, 8 months.
We're good.
So the amount of people that actually come off my road is very.
Yeah, I got you, so. At this point, Wayne, do you have any other comments, for the discussion for that?
No, I don't. I think we, I don't know if you're gonna close the public hearing or continue it. You know, the only thing I see missing is the, checklist. As far as what is needed for an application. And. Other than that, I did put my memo out to the board. What I thought the board needs to consider. As far as this application is concerned. I don't know if you want to, everybody got it?
When did you put that out?
I. Hopefully I sent it to you Monday.
Okay, yeah, I did not see that. I was gonna ask if there was an update to it.
Yes, well, there is one for this, because the ZBA is separate and distinct from the
Yes.
special permit
The
application.
one I read was dated early June, updated 18 June was the last correspondence that I
This
saw
is-
from you
This is actually dated the 14th.
of June,
No,
July, yeah. So,
It is an exhibit, John. There's a memo to the board, to the commission, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The
You-
commission.
A memo, I'm sorry, memo from,
From me,
Checking mine too.
okay,
it's,
hang on.
Yes. I got it, so. Yesterday.
memo to PZC, 7/14/20.
All right, I got you. Here it comes.
Um,
Is that visible?
yep,
Here.
So,
yes, so go ahead and scroll down. That looks like what was in the previous.
right, I did update it, I got a height dimension from Mr. Heckler on Monday that is in this now, it's 26 feet high.
So it's not quite double square footage, it's actually less square footage than the house. It's 1,260. I'm not sure where the double came in.
Yeah,
That came from
because you
Margaret, feedback from the-
Yes, and eliminated the second.
Oh, yeah, okay, yep, yeah, I remember we ran into a problem with that last meeting.
Yep.
So I revamped it, got rid of the second floor completely because,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good to know. I didn't know
Oh,
that just now, so that helps a lot.
So it's down to 1,260 square feet.
Okay,
It's still way
Then-
less.
that was probably a big stumbling block for me that makes that one, and that was gonna be my recommendation, get rid of that second floor,
Yeah,
and we're probably,
and
in
my,
business.
and my residence, if you pull up the property card, is 2,900 square feet. So that also makes a pretty big difference,
Okay. Now, is that count your basement?
which is
Okay.
finished,
Yeah.
so second floor to the second floor.
Okay, so, got that. Now, one of the things that Wayne, I think you had in a earlier memo is still, yeah, your number 2 item here. It would be nice to have a list of what the equipment is that you have.
Yeah.
Cause I've been by your house a couple of times and I have yet to see an excavator.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw it.
You seen it?
Yeah, I saw it yesterday.
Okay,
Yeah, it's on a job site, Coventry for.
yep, now. And that's, I think, the equipment that you're both wanting to get into the garage.
I see the two.
No. Can you get it, are you gonna drive it in the garage, or you can put it on a trailer back in the garage?
I mean, does it matter? Either
It does with a 10-foot. Garage door,
boom, we go down.
okay, but still, right, as long as it fits.
Yeah, typically, I mean, I gotta fit under a bridge, so either way, it's gonna be down, whether I drive it in, it's gonna be. down.
Okay, very good, and I'm not gonna worry about that.
Yeah, I'm not getting
But-
anything.
The, I saw 2 big trailers.
Mhm.
3 trucks.
Yeah.
Your chipper. And no excavator, so if we just get a list of what the stuff is, so we know. And having the place tidied up a little bit would be
Will be helpful.
helpful.
I have had those discussions with Mr. Heckler and, as a point, as a zoning agent, I would like to see the board better nail down the exactly what they are approving. So in the future, you know, for instance, I would like to know exactly, you know, is it a 10,000 pound excavator or a 20,000 pound excavator?
Okay,
Is it a,
if,
you know, is it a 6-wheel dump, 6-yard, 6-wheel dump? So that a year from now, 2 years from now, my successor comes along and sees a triaxle parked out there, they can go to the special permit and say, no, that's not what the board approved.
well, and, you know, somebody's always got the right to go out and get a new piece of equipment, and I'm not sure how, you know, that
Right.
process will work, but. we'll
But
get-
this is a home occupation, and in my mind, it's limited in scope.
It is,
And if it becomes, right now, Mr. Heckler works for a town of Vernon. If this were to become his full-time business, maybe at some point, it may not be an appropriate. If he grows, if the business grows to the point where it's not appropriate for. It doesn't fit the special permit, is not appropriate for that lot in that location,
Yeah,
then the commission can take action.
at that point, I mean, if I was making that much revenue, I'd probably buy a location or offsite.
well, and, you know, we had another one, and it is in the industrial zone, is on Merritt Valley, there's a guy who has a landscaping business. I think his plan is to expand down to the tree farm to build a place there, because he is growing.
It's the same.
Yeah, landscapers are a growing business these days.
It is. Thankfully, I'm not doing it full time, or I'd be expanding probably quicker than I thought.
Okay. John, did you have any questions or comments at this point?
I don't. I was looking at the home occupation regs and was, you know, had some sort of nuanced thought about the way that the square footage stuff is defined, that it seems to talk about use of square footage of the residence rather than a square footage cap in general. And if he's, you know, all of the home occupation stuff is outside the usable residence, that perhaps some of the square footage caps wouldn't necessarily apply. But that's sort of an interpretation question, and I, you know, I would defer to how this commission has handled those matters in the past.
I know what he's speaking of. So old regulations used to have, it was 70 or 80% of your total. Square footage. But in the past, I don't know, I looked back several updates and they weren't in there. So at some point they got removed. I think that might be relief, or it's.
I'll show you specifically. And this may be a little bit off topic. If so, we can move on quickly. But I'm looking at the home occupation regulations. Home occupation uses. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
And there's a section in here that says not utilize more than 20% nor more than 300 square feet of the gross floor area of the dwelling, whichever is less. I just, in thinking about it, I don't think that necessarily applies, because he is not using the dwelling. He's building a separate structure for the use. So that cap would not necessarily apply to this, because again, you know, he's not converting up, you know, a bedroom to a home office or something like that. He's not doing anything in the dwelling, which is.
Well, no, I am. One of the bedrooms is an office for 200, or I think it's 100 and some feet.
Okay,
But-
all right. But in terms of the proposal right now is not dwelling based.
That is the list of requirements, John, if we were to do it as of right. But
Okay,
he's-
okay.
So. He's
So
into the-
he's moving on to the special permit categories. Okay,
Yeah.
Number 2,
okay. All right, I just wanted to
No, I wrestled, that was one of my, was able to cut through and figure out why it was okay now.
That's the one I wrestled with last time.
Yep.
But I would broadly, you know, encourage the commission to consider overall impact, you know, on the property and then on the neighborhood, rather than devoting too much time on the specifics of the weight of any individual piece of equipment, which is fungible. And, you know, so when a piece of equipment dies and, you know, the applicant wants to replace it with something smaller, like, you don't want to have him come back every time he swaps out a piece of equipment. So I would encourage the commission not to dwell too much in those fine details, and instead just think about the overall impact of what he's proposing to do on the neighborhood.
So where, you know, I wrestle with that, our regs there now is by special permit in the Andover Lake District, we're allowed smaller scale business. And then if you're in the industrial area, or the business area, you can have larger scale business. And so it's not exactly clear where you draw that line there. And I think, you know, we're kind of close to where that line might be. Is it big business? No. Is it small business? Well, I don't know, but, you know,
I'm only making like 25,000 a year, so very small.
Depends on your metric. Yes, Patrick.
We already have self-limiting, regulations for the Lake District on how big the commercial vehicle could be, and this is from, if you look in the, I don't remember what section it is, I couldn't pull it up, but there's already a limitation on what size and how many commercial vehicles you can have in the Lake District, because this came up a long time ago. With somebody that had a plumbing company and they had a plumbing truck. Now we put the last time I was on planning and zoning, we put it in the regs to limit the size of the commercial vehicle depending on how much weight it can hold.
Yeah.
And then there's no tractor trailers allowed around the lake, even storage. So that's like gonna be our maximum, is whatever that rule regulation already limits.
Okay,
So if it's for storage and it's part of the home-based business, so the way I'm seeing it is from the economic side, economic development is, as long as it's not an operational shop, like doing the work on site, then it doesn't qualify as, you know, the light industrial is just storage. But that's my interpretation.
okay,
Okay,
we'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
thanks.
For bringing that up.
Yep. So we don't have to worry about how many or how much it weighs or. I don't know if you find it, sorry. I kind of.
Do you have any questions, comments?
I think that it's a good use, good idea for storage, is be able to maintain your business, which is done elsewhere.
Leanne?
Oh, I'm gonna quickly chime in if I
Good,
could.
good.
I'm definitely asking for an extension because there's still stuff that we need to
Yeah.
get for check sheets and all that.
Leanne?
Nothing now, no.
Andreas?
I live in the Lake District, I know there's some nice houses there, from my understanding, Michael's a little bit further away from the Lake District.
Yeah.
There are some nice houses there too. Looking at his plan, it looks like a nice addition, looks like an upgrade. And to clean up the street and make it look, make it look nicer, I think it's a good idea. Probably benefit the street.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
even commercial, I think that's next, right?
Yeah,
You don't have to do it now.
okay, so. Let's see if there's any public, no, I guess, you wanna say anything?
I'm all for it.
Okay, very good, so what we'll do is we'll hold the public hearing open until the next meeting, and, I think. You know, with the changes, if it's like I think you're describing, we got rid of the second floor of the garage, and that should make, that last one come through pretty easy. Get better.
Sorry, just one last thing. I mean, he's on the edge of the Lake District. It's literally
He
almost
is,
the last
yep.
house on the
Well,
road.
I got you.
Just throwing it out there for the record.
And that is why it's a special permit.
Right,
That's
right.
way
So
we
something to
can do,
consider, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that is one of the things that we can consider when we
Yeah.
make that decision. Okay, I think, so we're 8:55, we'll we'll continue this, public hearing to the next meeting, as well. Thank you for coming tonight and,
Thank you.
head on down the road.
Good. Thank you very much.
Be good.
Cool.
Okay. So, 8:55, I will call the regular meeting to order. With the roll call, we have, Ann Cremay here, Leanne Hutchinson, Patrick Garrity, and myself. And Andreas, we've got you seated for Scott Person. Additions, changes to the agenda, none, public speak. I don't think we've got anybody from the public. John Eale's probably gonna be here for P O C D discussion. So moving on to old business, plan of conservation and development, quality of life chapter. So John, you're up.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I'm joined by Janelle, and we've been working on this chapter. This is a relatively, I think, simple and straightforward and possibly not too controversial chapter of the proposed plan of conservation and development. We focus on, and hopefully people have gotten a chance to take a look. I'm just going to sort of go through the structure of this chapter briefly, where we basically, try to highlight those components of Andover that contribute to civic life and civic quality of life and doing the things that we need to do to keep those elements strong and vital and responsive. So we talk a little bit about the town's government and civic engagement, including the elements, including the schools, the fire department, the town hall, senior center, library, those sort of things, just basic background. Some demographics and data on the schools, Andover Elementary School, and obviously RAM. We include some of the basic school statistics, enrollment, eligibility for free and reduced meals, absenteeism, graduation rates, that sort of thing. Adding a few notes about the declining school populations and looking at facilities. We also go through public safety, fire protection, police, emergency medical, the volunteer fire department, and some of the concerns that may go along with that in terms of coverage and supply of volunteers. We discuss recreation, including the town's new community center. We talk a lot about the Hop River Trail, the town recreation facilities, and certainly focus on the Andover Lake area and the association. We discuss a little bit about senior services, including the new senior center and the facilities that they are ramping up. And then in the action items, it's again largely about sort of continuing, maintaining, and monitoring and enhancing the existing level of services. So looking at continuing to educate residents on and encouraging civic engagement, making sure we understand the current and projected town needs in terms of space at town hall, space at the library, space in schools. That would include, potentially talking about further regionalization, fire department coverage, and then making sure capital improvement plans reflect the town's needs, as well as focus on senior residents and senior services needs. That's a very brief overview. Hopefully people have got a chance to sort of look through, but again, it's nothing too particularly controversial, and we're not charting new direction. A lot of the survey responses we had, had a lot of support for the schools, support for the senior services and senior center. And a lot of this is a focus on basically maintaining and enhancing those elements. So I'll be happy to take any comments on that and or comments that you may wish to share later via email.
Okay, Patrick, you got any comments?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that draws concern is that, you know, our town is operating on a large volunteer basis. And some of it's commission, some of it's fire department, and we gotta keep an eye on the monitoring, like you said, but we really should be looking into more grants if we can get them, you know, to help us go forward, because if we're, well, also the Economic Development Commission is well aware of a lot of these things. We're actively trying to find spots for senior housing and smaller homes for that are more affordable, and the business spaces for when they outgrow their garage. So, I mean, you know, these are all big concerns right now, because but he addressed a lot of them, but I don't know how we're gonna monitor that without, you know, how we're gonna monitor when our commissions start losing members, or when the fire department doesn't show up. I don't know. I mean, that's my main concern with this.
Okay, yeah, my concern was we cut the down budget.
That concerns me too, yeah, like.
Wayne, do you have any comments?
I have no comment.
Ian?
Yeah, the part in here that talks about the fields, Veterans Memorial Field, and then the fields behind Andover Elementary School.
Yes.
The recently awarded Small Town Economic Assistance Program grant is putting in the playscape, pickleball courts, and so on at the Veterans Memorial Field, not the field behind the school.
You're right, yeah. Yep, okay.
So that needs to be changed,
Yeah.
that sentence. You do mention it under the veterans, it says plans and funding were recently approved for additional playground and pickleball courts.
Yeah, so maybe we just,
Well,
we could just transpose that over there.
So that one about that sentence about the steep grant could be merged in with the sentence up above about the veterans. Cause it's behind that field. The other things, the schools, I realized that you might have gotten some of that information from a state listing somewhere, but in the last 5 years, AES has grown by 25%. In 2020, AES was down to about 179 students. Now they're up to 240. So I would not want to see that in there.
I'm sorry, let me just verify where you are here.
Is it page 2, where
I'm not
the schools thing?
Yeah, it was somewhere in here saying that
Student populations are declining enrollment.
dropping.
Yes, okay, so it's on the bottom of page 3.
Yeah, I don't think we quoted the numbers, but yeah, we said are expected to continue a long trend of declining enrollment. All right, you would like us to sort of modify the way that we're discussing that?
I know for a fact that Andover Elementary School has seen over 25% growth in the last 5 years.
Yeah, so the whole, that thing
They
about,
were
we
down,
don't need to look for more efficient use of the space.
right,
Kind of using it with kids coming in. which
we're
is great.
using it, it's just about completely full. I mean, 6 years ago, they were talking about letting the seniors
Yeah.
use one whole wing. It's now in use. They cut the students, they don't have that extra space anymore. And your action item number 5, consider a conversation with the other Graham towns about regionalizing elementary schools. I mean, there's a nice to save some costs, but I really don't think that's a good action item. For one thing, the Ram towns are Marlboro, Andover, Hebron, elementary schools. They're not gonna go to Marlboro from here. It's a huge, that takes almost a half an hour to get all the way over there. I don't think that's a wise choice to put in there.
Well, the middle school and the high school kids travel that far, don't they?
They do. But elementary kids, parents, I don't think I want their kids on the bus that long. And I know that it ends up in Hebron in the middle. But even so, do you have young children?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't, wouldn't want them being on the bus as long. As
It's
they
about
would.
45 minutes each way to Ram,
Yeah.
back from Andover.
And that's
on the
not
bus,
too bad
all
when you
the
get to
stops.
middle school age, but for
Yeah.
elementary, that's really tough.
So I mean, this language was written very softly. It was consider a conversation, but you don't even think that's worthwhile.
It might even be counterproductive.
Yeah,
I think, you know, one of the thoughts as I was reading through this is who from the school, whether it's, you know, the superintendent, board of ed, or whatever, you know, we gotta get their chop on that write-up. And, you know, we came through when we were talking about demographics earlier. And I worked with Valerie to make sure that, and she put on the website then, you know, the enrollment numbers for each of the years. And she was kind of upset with the way that the conversation was going, and rightly so. And I think that's probably an issue that is best avoided at best, but I do think that the chapter on the schools, we've got to get somebody in Ambien. Well, you're not on board of ed. Your
I'm not
your
worried
husband on
about
board of
husband's
ed, yeah.
on board, yeah, so that's why I know a lot of what's going
Yeah,
on.
so we've got to get, that chapter can't come as a surprise to them.
Right, we need to have them involved with it.
Okay, well, so we can make some edits and then obviously we'll forward it to your recommendation to whomever on the school board or associated with the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably just send it to the
Superintendent.
chair. I would say
Yeah,
chair of the
you
board
do
of
the
ed,
chair for
and
that,
she,
or the superintendent.
can send it to whoever she wants to,
Yeah.
but, that way, you know, we can't be accused of slipping one by. We want their input.
Yeah.
Very well.
Leanne, did you have any comments on this? I can't remember if I got around and we were done, and yeah, I thought that,
No.
okay, Andreas,
yeah, I got a several comments. All right.
okay?
So first thing in page one, says Andover community facilities have been well maintained, but several will need investment and additional space to support the town into the future. It's kind of vague. We're just kind of interested as what kind, I think with Patrick's on the development board, you know, what kind of investment and additional space are we talking here? And what is the future of the town? What?
And where's that on page one? I tried to,
Undercover.
On the government.
He's
facility.
yeah, he's here. It's, I mean, Andres, that's just the introductory sentence to the
Okay.
paragraph, and then the next three paragraphs sort of break it
Kind of
down.
explain.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the next page for Public Works Department. I didn't know that we had a dog.
I didn't either, so, yeah, that was gonna be.
Do we need a dog?
I don't think we do.
And then also,
No, we don't have a dog, we do not have a dog pound.
Yeah.
anymore. We
It's not
contract-
active, it's there. You
Right.
can see it, but.
Okay.
We contract with,
yeah, we contract with somebody
NetCog?
which they have a central
Right.
place, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, if we need a dog pound here to keep dogs there, when they pick them up and transfer them, it's
I
fine.
don't believe
I
it's.
don't think, no, we don't do that. We call this.
Yeah, we have a third
contract,
party, yeah,
Dog work.
got it. And
So
also,
do- Just because, so the space exists or the town has had one historically, do we just want to get rid of the reference there? What,
I think that's the best thing to do is, you know, we shouldn't even reference that we have a
okay,
animal facility.
that's fine.
yeah, another one is the Public Works Department. It says it's old and inadequate for today's maintenance needs. Like, what are those? Are we just, this is just basic language, or do we wanna spell it out a little bit more, or is that on here? Somewhere where it says, what are the things that are not up to date to be adequate?
Don't you ride by that place every day?
I do, it's kinda ugly. I mean, if you could give it a paint job, it might look pretty good, but I know we talked about moving it up to the dump.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
costs
so that would
millions of
be-
dollars, and I know Eric was,
That's in a perfect world.
yeah, it's in a perfect
Yeah,
world. It would be nice to restore the area to its natural habitat, but other than that.
But you gotta admit, it is kind of a nice,
Yeah,
It is, for
yeah,
sure.
especially in prime, property.
Location, yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. And the middle school was heavily renovated and expanded, again, a little bit vague, not sure what that means. The next page, when we, got into the whole graduation rate. We're saying here that there's a decline yet, our budget increases regularly to support a declining, school system. That doesn't make sense, so maybe the numbers are not right or anything like that. I know,
right, and then also, even if you keep the same number of teachers in the same size school, your taxes are gonna be going up, or the cost is gonna be going up because.
There's
people get
inflation.
raises.
Inflation, number one.
Inflation. People
And-
get raises.
and also I understand that we opened up the is it preschool to other towns? Other than
The
Andover?
pre-K, they just filled a classroom, if they, have 3 classrooms full of Andover students, and the 4th classroom, they open so they can get the rest of the Andover kids in. And they have 5 spaces or 6 spaces left, they'll let the other towns come in then.
Yeah, because from what I'm understanding is that we spent a significant amount of money and admin support to support a out-of-town school program.
It's only a few kids, it's
That-
not a
again,
classroom.
Yeah, all right, but looking at the budget perspective, I don't think something's off with finance.
Yeah,
there.
and then you see also is that it's self-supporting.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that the taxes that the town pays to the school, none of that money is paying for the preschool. Their teachers, the parents pay for the preschool, it's not a free program. And they also have grants that cover some of it so that it doesn't cost as much as it would be, except for the people from out of town, they pay full boat.
Right,
And,
so they pay the teachers' salaries, their
Teachers'
insurance, their, all
the things, expenses for those faculty that are the teachers and that. And the, equipment, they've had to, equip a classroom for a preschool. That also did not come out of
food, all that
town
stuff.
budget.
Okay.
Sure, they are in the building, some electricity maybe.
Right, but it's not gonna be,
heat,
yeah.
But it's not, people or the supplies for the kids.
I know the Connecticut Resident State Trooper program, it doesn't make sense to me how when we're talking about economic development and affordable housing, that comes with probably a little bit more crime, in my, humble opinion. And right now, we're paying quite a bit of money for state trooper program. Doesn't make sense how the state doesn't cover the vehicle and all that stuff. I think we have to pay for all that stuff. It's crazy to me, and I think it's worth looking into, but maybe this is not the form.
Yeah, I think that's been looked into.
Yeah.
The seniors in the town, especially.
Yeah.
Me included, like that resident state.
Yeah.
I like
They tried
having
to drive
having a
it.
resident or any kind of police present and
Yeah.
available, and Troop K will cover whatever, and I talked to him before, that's great, because we need that, but I think it's a peaceful town so far.
One year they dropped that budget and the people at the town meeting turned it down. They
Yeah.
would not vote for that budget until the state trooper was put back in.
No, that's.
So that's, the people in the town voted for
But
it.
it's expensive, and we pay the overhead for that guy to go do his training and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just didn't pay by the hour things here.
No, it's quite a bit.
But that's still cheaper than having your own municipal police department.
No, understood.
Say it again?
That's still cheaper than having a municipal paid police
yeah.
department.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure, no, I
Yeah.
understand.
by far. So,
No, that wasn't one of the options. The option was nothing. or-
Well, I mean-
So another thing is this, the path, right, the trail. This path is mostly used for recreational purposes, but can also be served as an alternative commuting option. Do people really use that to commute to work? I don't think so.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
How many? Do you have the numbers? I'd like to know, because I don't think in the middle of the winter or, what do
Well,
you
not
price it?
till winter, but
One or two people, or is it
Yeah,
a
but we,
hundred?
we don't pay for the trail anyway. The state maintains that, so.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, the
I
phrasing
don't-
here
I don't-
is it can also serve. I think that's indisputable. I'm not sure what your question is here.
I don't understand, like. I know we want, develop the trail to attract more people to town. And to develop the area with motels, hotels, whatever you guys wanna do, or suggesting. I don't think that's realistic, I don't think it's reasonable, I think that trail is used for recreational purposes only, I don't think people travel to work. If they do, I'd like to see the data, you have none of that. And also, how's that gonna affect our traffic that's already bottleneck at 4 or 5 o'clock when people are coming back from work? So it's just something to think about.
but, so your concern is that the rail trail traffic is gonna,
Absolutely. I mean, if people come and we're gonna attract more people, and I don't know how you're gonna do that, I don't think it's gonna be possible to attract more people. Utilize a section of the trail where other towns also have access to that trail, and then people just go up and down. I think I see more high schoolers use it as a running thing in the summertime, which is great, you know. But if you wanna develop it and attract people in here to make it a destination thing, it's gonna require more parking, it's gonna require a little bit more engineering with traffic, because we do have a traffic issue, we have a bottleneck. Because of those lights during rush hour coming back home, so it's an issue. As well as people blowing the red light there constantly, which is a health hazard in my opinion. And then I think the last thing was. I'm all for senior living, I'm all for 55 and over stuff. But it's also, I don't think it's realistic that every senior will wanna age out of their home and move into a 55 and over facility. I think a lot of people will prefer to stay in their home if they can afford it, I think. But I'm all for helping the seniors, and it's better than affordable housing in my opinion. But
well.
it's
in
fun,
55 and over.
I'm sorry,
Right.
is that a reference to something in this section of the document?
Say again, John?
I'm missing, I'm sorry, did Anders is there a comment on something in this section of the document? About senior
yeah, I mean,
services?
you're saying that additional senior housing is needed. In Andover to allow for people to age in town. Well, to bring more seniors to town. What does that mean? Don't seniors wanna age in their own home? Couldn't they just age in their own home? I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, I'm all for developing 55 and over and supporting them.
But again, you know, so,
Oh, there,
and
okay.
I'm gonna talk about this going back to the housing chapter a little bit, but. The house that I'm in. Takes a heck of a lot of maintenance, it's a 100-year-old cottage that we turned into a
It's a
house.
beautiful one, you guys do a nice job.
And it, I'm ready to find a smaller house, smaller lot, you know, newer stuff that doesn't need maintenance all the time.
So,
And I would love that here, and I don't think I'm the only guy. And if we could even get some more people moving into here, if we build it, and we're talking about, you know, 20 to 30 units or something.
so let me ask you this, Jed, you live in the very night on the lake, you have a lake house, so you would move. Let's say the only 55 and over we have is behind that ugly facility building right there in the back of the woods.
No, that's not the kind of thing I'm looking for.
Exactly. So are you looking to stay here? You know, moving into the woods, I mean, I don't know where we put these houses in, or go somewhere else.
So. And again, there's, you know, a couple of options. We've got behind the community center here, we could put in a little housing development.
Would you live there?
I would,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's close to the lake, I got you, okay.
I'd live over the, you know, behind the transfer station out there up against the rail trail.
That's
I
nice,
think beautiful piece of property.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of, you know, places, whether it's Lindholm Corners or Bath property or whatever, you know, that, you know, we could put in something. And I kind of use my mom as a model, you know, when she got to, you know, her mid-60s, she moved in, she bought a brand new house. You know, had it built because, you know, it was all new stuff, she was tired of maintaining. She got a little bit older, you know, she lived there 10 years and then moved into a triplex, which was, you know, together in very dense, and I thought that was a great move for her. And I think there's a lot of people that would like that, you know, that don't have to do the outside maintenance anymore, don't. And so, yes, I would personally take advantage of those kind of opportunities, and not bad, and I feel bad about it. And,
I mean, also those 55 and over houses, I don't think they're affordable. I think the most of them
Well,
I've seen them for, there's a lot of money that you pay a lot of
okay, so
HOA.
now let's transition, you know, this is gonna be my comment on the housing chapter, and you know, when I think of what can planning and zoning do to make a difference,
Mhm.
and, you know, we've got that, it's section 4.14, which is planned residential development for older folks.
Yeah,
And it's over 55. I think 55 is pretty young.
I'm almost 50, so.
Yeah, but the point is, why would that be, why, and we can have some of them, great, 55 and older, have a little community that's a repurpose. That's on one of these beach properties. The other one, we ought to have it, for anybody can move there, you know, and when my mom moved into the triplex, it was a bunch of those things, any ages moved in. And with the rules for, you know, going from a 5,000 gallon community septic to 7,500, you know,
I mean,
it's like 50 bedrooms we could put on one septic tank.
a lot of folks move to 55 and over because they don't want the younger kids coming in there partying,
But that's fine, yeah, I'm for both.
you know,
But
so, I
right
mean,
now, our regulation
allows that, yeah,
requires over 55.
okay.
And I think that's the thing that we could do to best suit the town, and it's not gonna be a huge change. Over 55, no more kids in the school, so, you know, it's cheap to the town, but we, you know, whether it's UConn students, young professionals starting out to working, we can do that. And that's not like putting one triplex in the middle of all the houses out on Oak Farm Road or something.
It's not like we're gonna build 200 units, because
Yeah.
realistically, how many people are gonna stay in Andover? Or in Connecticut, for instance, people
I
leave in
think
Connecticut
moved to
because,
Andover.
well, you're an exception. But, you know,
You moved to Andover.
I did for reasons that
Okay,
are,
I
you know,
understand.
kind of, these are, you know, I mean, yeah, especially with this affordable housing, that's one of the reasons why I moved to
I
Andover.
think
so.
you're confusing affordable housing
It's
with
still based on income,
workplace. Yeah,
it's still based on
some
income,
of it is, yeah.
a lot of it, all of it.
Well,
But anyways, so, yeah, but that's just to clarify, and, you know, I'm all for 55 and over and helping the Asian community who wants to stay in Andover. You know, it's just a slippery slope, right? You know, start developing these things and they grow into this massive things. Now we're bringing in all ages and everything else, so.
I don't think
we'll get there, but it's just something that it's
You
good
know,
to address.
if we had 40 extra units in town, I think that'd be great.
By the dump, great, yeah, sure.
I mean, our family, we moved to Andover 20 years ago because we wanted to be able to build a house that my in-laws could live in with us. And the house we had in West Hartford, it was 10 feet to the property line. There was no room
Yeah.
to expand without giving up your whole backyard.
No privacy.
So we found a lot, we built our house with an in-law apartment on it. My in-laws stayed there for almost 10 years before the last passed away. 6 months later, our daughter, who had graduated from college, moved into that apartment. She lived in the apartment until she got married. Moved out. They had a few years. They had a house in East Hampton. And now we decided, my husband and I, that we needed to downsize. We started looking at other houses. We started looking at what it would cost to build a smaller house. And it was like, oh my goodness. We said, hey, we'd like to move into the apartment. Do you want the house? So our daughter and son-in-law have just moved back into the house and they're in the apartment. And it's great.
Yeah.
But it was the accessory apartment kind of thing that's now allowed to be built, and we had built that on that house. So it was great.
But I look at it from the eye of a developer. And we need to be ready to go with a plan that supports them enthusiastically
Yeah.
wanting to do something here. Or otherwise, you know, right this minute, everybody in Andover is kind of happy with the way it is, you know, there's. been-
What are they not happy with? What?
No, they are happy.
Yeah,
They're
I mean,
happy.
my
Yeah.
taxes went up $1,200 because my house got reassessed, right? Before, I bought it for pretty penny, right?
Yeah.
We've dumped the entire savings in there to live in a town like this.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm on this board. That's why I'm engaged. Our taxes went up $1,200. Our mill rate did not go down.
But your
No.
property value went up also.
Okay,
That's why you got taxed.
but still, $1,200, that's a lot of money. So I doubt if we continue, if we continue to grow and the taxes grow, I mean, tax income for low affordable housing, I mean, we'll talk about the next chapter here, and I got some comments on that too. People gonna look at elsewhere out of state to move to, because, $7,000-8,000 a year. That used to be 5.5 a year, 2 years before, it's a significant difference. And for folks who are retiring, they might not wanna stay here, because they're still gonna pay those taxes. So I don't know, so it's just something to think about. I get it.
They got 2 kids living in the state.
Yeah,
You what?
you're a lucky one.
2 kids living in the state, one in Glastonbury, one in Marlboro, or one in.
Two high tax towns, very high tax. I lived in both, so,
And I don't know if that much of any town in this state that anywhere that's low taxes nowadays.
well, as long as we got Democrats in power, then we're gonna have high taxes. That's just my opinion.
Okay, we're gonna keep politics out.
All right, yeah, absolutely. That's a comment and an observation.
My only comment on the quality of life, well, I had 2. I was surprised that we said that, when we were talking about building a new wing on the town hall, we had accessible restrooms. What did we have before? Inaccessible restrooms? I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't comply with ADA.
What's that?
They didn't comply with ADA. That's what the
Oh,
accessible
yeah.
refers to.
Yeah, makes sense. And then, and again, this goes into maybe the, when we talk about agro-tourism concert venues, I think people move here because it's quiet, tranquil, and peaceful.
Yeah.
And those words, I said, they must be in the last P O C D. And no, they weren't, and, but when you talk about the quality of life, people are here because it's quiet, tranquil, and peaceful. So. Then,
I second that.
that's my thought on it.
We just moved here because they had a lot that we could
Yeah,
build on.
okay,
We looked at a lot of different towns. We just didn't want to be in Manchester or Willimantic, that's all.
okay,
Yep.
so good job on the,
You're on turn this place.
quality of life, excellent quality of life, we'll keep it that way.
Okay, thank you. So we'll make some of those, we'll make those adjustments to that one and share it back with this group as well as with the Board of Ed for their comments.
One more nugget here that just, that this, I think was in Sunday's paper here, that it was talking about many factors contribute to slow selling housing market. But the median household income for a family of 4 varies from 96,000 in West Virginia to 160,000 in Connecticut. So that must be the Gold Coast down there ramping those averages up, but wow, that was a whopping big number that was certainly bigger than our median income around here. I just thought that was interesting, huge number. Okay, go ahead, John, sorry.
So, okay, so the other thing is we made some, and Andres has mentioned that he had some thoughts. We made some minor changes to the housing chapter based on the input from last month's meeting. It was pretty minor stuff that we adjusted, and I at this point I'm actually not certain. I think we just changed a little bit of some of the language of some of the recommendations. I know, Jed, you wanted to talk a little bit about 414, but if Andres or anyone else has had additional comments on this chapter, I'd be happy to entertain those.
Yeah, no, in my discussion, I already had the discussion on 414, but
Okay.
I do think that, my thought was, somebody wants to come in, we'll work with them to change the regs and that sort of thing. And I think we need to be a little more proactive than that to make the regs so that we can get some of those people here. And I do like the bonus density for affordable housing. And again, the affordable housing we're talking about here shouldn't be bringing crime with it. I'm thinking we're talking about, good folks that we would be proud to have as our neighbors. They just can't afford a house right now. I don't know how anybody that's young can buy a house anymore. It gets off tough. We gotta help out.
Okay, so that's, so yeah, unless and I don't want to cut off Jed, if you wanted to see if any other commissioners have thoughts on this chapter, we'd be happy to adjust now.
Patrick, you got anything else there?
Yeah, I mean, I want everybody to keep in mind that affordable for Andover. So, I mean, it's on a sliding scale here. We're not talking about affordable for like the city I grew up in, Meriden. That would be really cheap apartments. And that's not what we're talking about here, just so to put it in context.
We're not talking.
And we're not talking about 100-unit, 30-story apartment building that could turn into something undesirable in this neck of the woods. I mean, that's what I'm trying to, you gotta put everything in context. We have sewage limitations, we have building lot size limitations, there's all kinds of things. We're just trying to make sure that for the we wanna engineer our plan of conservation to get the kind of development we want, not the kind we don't want. See, that's the thing about planning for the future. If you're always focused on what you don't want, you make all this stuff and it kind of bites you in the butt. So you plan for what you want to get done in the future. Basically, my interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, you guys saying that, residents with varying income levels
Right.
and desires must be available. It's not a must.
Well,
There's no must. We should take that must out. And there's nothing wrong.
I put it in.
What's that?
We must do it.
It's a variety of housing types available at price points that can be afforded by residents with varying income levels and desires must be available. There's no, I don't think it must be available.
Who should it not be available to?
You can make it available, just take out must. We don't have to do, there's no must.
Well,
Who said that?
My point was, if we don't make it a must, we'll continue to not do it. And
Because there's nothing wrong with, large, single-family homes saturated in Andover. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. And others' opinion. Yeah, okay, we can plan on having smaller units, this and that. It's not a must. It's not a bad thing that we have large, single-unit houses in Andover.
no, but it's not a bad thing that we put some affordable stuff in a couple of.
But it's not a
lots
must.
that-
I think it is.
I don't think so. Who
I
said
think
that?
in the context of a plan of conservation and development, it's pretty important to have a variety of housing at different price points, especially as a young person who has multiple degrees. Like, I work very hard and I don't think I would bring any crime to an area, but it is very difficult to find housing for people who are younger and working and all different types of demographics. So I think in the context of this plan, it's important to use strong verbiage like must.
You can say desire.
Well, if we desire it, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
Unless we choose to say must, because step one is, and it's not gonna happen until somebody steps up and takes charge of a housing committee or something. I want our zoning regulations to be ready for when that happens. The state may incentivize us to turn it into a must at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, veto, thank God.
Well, we'll see how that, plays out.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's gonna come out yet, but,
Okay.
but I think we need to take charge of making housing for the people that we want to have here. And some of that is those young professionals. I wouldn't mind having some UConn students here.
UConn, okay, I mean, I've looked at, I looked at houses near UConn and changed my mind because it was just those houses that were occupied by students were party neighborhoods. I don't wanna live in a party neighborhood. I'm sorry, that's what Lansborough turned into, unfortunately. And then you talk about, since 2008, very few new units have been constructed with just 2 permits issued in 2023. Newer homes tend to be more energy efficient and better able to withstand damage and effect to climate change events, reducing financial burden on homeowners. I think this is just fluff. And so what? So, what's, you guys say, very few, that's not a figure. Do we have a figure in mind or some kind of data that defines?
Well, there's a graph in
figure?
there, yeah,
Okay.
there's a
What?
graph that shows,
This,
so.
I mean, how accurate is it?
So
That says both.
59% of the units, there's your number, 59% of the units were constructed. Yeah, in after 70. So that it's a comment about the aging of our current housing stock.
But you look at this, chart on page 2.
I mean, homes have to be maintained, right? That's part of being a homeowner.
Yeah.
So,
Right, but
Yeah.
as costs increase, especially people on fixed incomes such as retirees, which is increasingly a large portion of our population, are less and less able to handle the increased costs of an aging house.
yeah. Okay. Fair, yeah.
I would think affordable housing is what, yes, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom houses that would be like 1,400 to 1,600 square feet. Smaller, not these big 4-bedroom homes that we've been building. The neighborhood I live in, it's all like 2,500 square feet or bigger. That whole neighborhood that was built 20 years ago. It's not an affordable neighborhood. We need to have more affordable stuff. Okay to build the small caves, small
Yeah.
ranches.
We have plenty of those too. I mean, on Bear Swamp, there's a handful of, less than 2,000 square foot.
Well, I think we need more of them.
But it's on like a 2-acre lot or
Yeah,
bigger.
it makes it more expensive. We need to have them clustered.
Why can't we have,
afford?
we put some things on 1/4-acre lots? As long as it's,
The Andover Lake District is 4-acre lots, but.
Yeah. it is.
But there's your,
And
and,
they're more expensive because they're on the lake.
right,
And they're older.
I mean, remember,
Yes, is the size of the lot is also dictated by the topography and the ability to locate septic. Like my lot's 10 acres, but the buildable part of that lot
Right.
is pretty small.
Yeah. So. Okay.
Okay, the audio just cut out. I don't know if everyone's done with their comments or if there's something else.
Again, Andreas, I, appreciate the conversation we have, because that's what flushes out, in your mind. It
Yeah.
helps me to better understand the issue.
Absolutely.
But Patrick said it perfectly. I was like, we're gonna make it affordable to Andover. I get that. Just have to be careful because there's a slippery slope. And so,
I'm not sure what the slippery slope means, but I appreciate the comment.
yeah, no, it is what, it means exactly that. We open up a door and if we're not careful, this time can,
Maybe,
go
yeah.
down the hill. And it's not against anybody or anything else, I was there, I was a low income person. I rented I'm from New London, I lived in New London. I worked hard, I have multiple degrees, I worked very hard to get to where I am, so I wanna live in a town. Based on peace, quiet, safe. That's the key.
Understanding.
Yeah, peace, love, understanding, and all that good stuff. And anyone can do that and achieve that, so it's just gotta be careful, so.
Okay,
But I appreciate everybody's understanding and, yeah. Common
good
ground,
enough.
all right.
Yeah. Okay, so what else you got for us, John? Okay, you're muted.
You're on mute.
Sorry. So that's it for those. We'll make additional edits, and I would encourage anyone, if Andres or anyone else has some additional proposed edits to either of those chapters, please email me in the next week or so, and we'll make those change and circulate those. Otherwise, the next chapter, I'm vamping here as I'm trying to bring up the sections, will be,
I believe it's climate change.
okay, yep, will be climate change and resilience.
Yeah.
And that'll be for
Okay.
next month. Thank you, Janelle.
Was climate change mandated?
Yes, the governor's bill, but the effective date is not until after we'll finish this, but you know, broadly speaking, the state is asking, you know, plans of conservation and development to consider natural hazards. And I would say, you know, increased storm frequency and intensity would be a natural hazard, you know, linked to climate change. But, you know, so yeah, the new legislation isn't effective yet, but you know, the state desires on this are clear.
And I think when we headed out, you know, developing the chapters, we were ahead of the curve on recognizing we should be talking about that this a little bit, so. It wasn't mandated at the time, but I think it's headed that way, and rightly
Right.
so.
Agreed. But I appreciate everyone's input. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Okay, based on, so I'm gonna move on to new business now. We're not gonna take any action on the Fitch Family Farm. Although, I will probably be looking for an opportunity to, I think if John, Wayne and I were to sit down for an hour or so next week, maybe we could hash out, the agro-tourism thing and get that ready to go. I think we are close on that. It's just takes a little work, so we'll schedule that outside of this meeting here.
One quick question.
Yep.
We don't have a sound ordinance, like most towns that after 9 o'clock. You have to have, you know, the sound has to, or whatever party or something. That's what I thought of it. I thought it was like a general kind of thing across the state.
So towns,
I would think that would be more of an ordinance, not a zoning regulation.
yeah, well, and I'm not sure, John, do towns need to follow zoning regulations? I know we have this, I've had this conversation with Eric a bunch, who said, well, we wouldn't need to do that, but we think it's smart to, so we do.
So you mean is the town subject, the town as a corporate entity subject to local zoning regulations?
Right.
They are, unless you specifically exempt yourself. A number of municipalities have exempted
Yeah.
town activity, but I don't know if the, yeah.
Exempting the town from our regulations. He said he can do that, but he
Yeah.
doesn't think it's a good idea, so we don't.
Yeah, no, the town isn't, because you guys, you know, we went through all the light tower stuff and the signage at the park. So yeah, the town is subject to zoning regulations.
Right.
Right. So that would include noise. If we had a noise regulation.
But talk about events and stuff. I could have brought it up, but I'll bring it up when we do our deliberations. You do have to get a permit from the town to use town property for events. So I think that kind of puts things that happen on town property as far as music is concerned. I think that kind of takes it out of zoning,
Yeah, but I think
or should.
we ought to be, I appreciate the thought that we ought to be doing things the same. Whatever the regulation we come up with, the town would be smart to abide by that too.
Yeah, that's deliberative, I should have.
Okay.
That's for deliberations.
Wayne, I would like to defer the discussion on concepts concerning zoning regulation changes. You had one, I had 4, and based on being 9:45, I don't think we should get into that right now.
I completely agree.
So I'll move on to, any correspondence that you might have for us.
None of any, no, the answer is no.
Okay? Zoning agent report,
I have nothing to report.
okay, very good. And I have nothing
Nothing
for
on
the
that.
inland wetland.
Sorry, nothing on those trailers and on Bunker Hill.
Nothing I have nothing, no, I have nothing to report in the public forum.
Gotcha.
Inland wetland watercourse agent, I have nothing to report as well. John, anything from town planning perspective?
Not too much. I am going to be participating with Eric and some CROG folks this Thursday. There's going to be a traffic safety analysis that's actually done on bicycle. So we're a couple of safety experts are going to join us, and we're going to bike around town and look at problematic intersections and some potential traffic solutions. And then I would also note that we talked previously about the governor vetoing the proposed housing legislation. A number of groups, including CCM, Conference of Municipalities, the planners, municipal lawyers, et cetera, have been in conversation with the governor's office and legislative leadership on a proposed revised housing bill that is going to be discussed in a special session, probably sooner than later. I think they'll probably call a special session in August rather than in September to give local leaders, first selectmen and boards of selectmen, a little bit of cover, frankly, because it's still going to be controversial, and they want to settle it before local election season cranks into high gear in probably in October. So I would look for a special session probably happening in August.
Okay, sounds good. Anybody for public speak? No, approval of the minutes of 15 June 2025. And so I make a motion. Well, let's talk about, are there any amendments to the minutes? Did we get any amendments? And I had two on the roll call and seating of alternates. I would just like to have the statement in there that no alternates were seated. You know, full information to make that clear. And then down in paragraph 5 on the pre-application conference, about halfway down, it talks about natural gas substation panel farm, and that should have solar in there. And those were the
Where's
only,
that?
what's that?
Say that again, because
So on,
I assume it's me that I have to go to,
it's a paragraph 5 where it talks about pre-application conference, Pete Godson.
you know,
The line that
Yes.
starts with data center. And it says panel farm.
okay. Yeah.
So-
Yeah, it needs to be solar panel farms. We're not doing panels.
So his actual proposal was for a data center with solar powering it.
Right. And so I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
Thank you, Ann. So, any other discussion? Calling for a vote, Ann?
Aye.
Leanne?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
Andreas?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. That motion passes 5-0. Next regularly scheduled meeting will be August 19th, right here. And we'll start out with continuation of 2 public hearings.
Hopefully no more public hearings.
Hopefully no more public hearings. Any last minute comments from anybody?
If you hadn't heard, Eric told it last night during the selectmen's meeting that the police did catch the people who vandalized Andover Pizza
Yeah.
and Andover Landscaping and possibly other places.
Oh, yeah. Didn't even know there was. Crime
I
going
didn't
on.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been broken, Andover Pizza broken into at least once with smashed windows and, I don't think the package store got broken into or the dance studio, but the, what's now is it a Thai
Yeah, Pope.
place was. And then apparently also Andover Landscaping. I hadn't heard that until they said he mentioned it last night.
Well, okay, well, thank you. Any other comments? At 9:50, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Leanne. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very